consequently declare the most honorable
I believe before gold becomes gold, it has to go through fire.
Wavinya Ndeti wins round 2 of Machakos primaries, paving way for a battle with Dr. Alfred Mutua.
The court has spoken, and we have said that Cyprian Awiti's position is held as the governor candidate for ODM.
Reprieve for Murutu after court gives him another fighting chance as Cyprian Awiti is awarded the ticket.
The President will send to Parliament fresh measures in the supplementary budget to address the challenges of food security as well as other cost of living issues.
Hope for Kenyans as government moves to cushion them from choking prices of food commodities. Also tonight, an alert is issued over dengue fever outbreak as 150 patients are diagnosed in Mombasa County. Good evening. Welcome to Checkpoint. Thank you very much for tuning in to our weekly show. It's the only way to get your week started. Of course, our discussion tonight, as we have put out on Twitter, we're focusing on the row over the presidential votes tallying. We have the lawyer that took this case to court on behalf of his client. We also have with us Jennifer Shamala, she's an advocate, as well as George Kegoro. We will be discussing this issue and why NASA now says it is a deal breaker and there will be no election if the IEBC is successful with their appeal over this matter. Your views, hashtag Checkpoint, at KTN News, at Yvonne Okwara as well. Welcome to our bulletin tonight. Our sign language interpreter is William Silla. So I want to start off with some party primaries news, and that is regarding the situation in Machakos. Alfred, that is that Wavinya Ndeti has yet again won the Wiper Party ticket for the Machakos gubernatorial seat. She, of course, beat the Deputy Governor, Bernard Kiala, by a 223,000 vote margin.
After the political parties' disputes tribunal ordered a rerun of the gubernatorial nominations for the Wiper Party in Machakos County, voters went through the drill again for the second time in just a week. And the script was the same.
I consequently declare the most honorable governor-in-waiting, Wavinya Ndeti, duly nominated.
Wavinya Ndeti trounced Deputy Governor Bernard Kiala by garnering 227,947 votes against Kiala's 4,508 votes. She was declared the winner at the Township Muslim Primary School in Machakos shortly after midnight. She was given the Wiper Party nomination certificate by the Elections Board chairperson. She led in all 8 constituencies in Machakos County.
I want to take this opportunity to thank the people of Machakos County. I just don't know how I can thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for believing in me.
Wavinya Ndeti has picked Peter Mathuki as her running mate in an election that promises to be a tough test for incumbent Governor Alfred Mutua.
Mungu ni mwema. Mutua, watch this space.
Yes.
Rita Tinina, KTN News.
Now, after After losing his portfolio in President Uhuru Kenyatta's cabinet, former Labour Cabinet Secretary Samuel Kazungu Kambi is making a return to politics. Kambi has officially launched his bid for the Kilifi County gubernatorial seat, dead set to unseat the incumbent Governor Amason Jeffa Kingi. Kambi, who was ousted from cabinet over corruption allegations, looks set to fight the ghosts from the past. KTN's Coast reporter Francis Ontoma tells us more.
It has taken him several months to craft his way back to the political limelight. Samuel Kazungu Kambi wants to redeem his prospect through the Kilifi governorship bid. But with rising stakes for the seat, it is certainly not going to be a walk in the park.
Muko tayari ama hamuko tayari? Are you ready? Are you ready?
And he has chosen a special vehicle, Kadu Asili, regarded the party with coastal foundations.
And believe you me, folks, it is only Kadu Asili which has an agenda, which can set the agenda of this county, not our rivals.
Kambi is teaming up with a former member of parliament for Malindi, Lucas Maitha, also gunning for the senatorial race in the same county.
Mimi nataka hapa tukubaliane, na hii nataka kutuma salamu kwa rais wa Jamhuri Uhuru Kenyatta na yule NASA presidential candidate Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga. Yoyote anayetaka kuongea na watu wa Kilifi County, uongee na Mheshimiwa Kazungu Kambi, ndiye kiongozi wetu hapa Kilifi County.
Kilifi has in the past largely voted for the opposition, but Kambi is yet to commit on who to support for the presidency. At the moment, he says his eyes are firmly on the ball.
Tunataka wakati sisi tumejenga mashule, ni lazima tuangalie maneno ya chakula. Kama chakula hatuna, hata mtoto shule hawezi kushika chochote.
Will his past record in public service haunt his ambitions? Kambi was suspended over corruption allegations that linked him to dirty dealings at the National Social Security Fund. President Uhuru Kenyatta nominated him as the chairman of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. Kambi, however, says his vision for Kilifi is clear and hinged on 5 pillars: education, infrastructure, health and employment, water and food production.
Kuna jambo moja nimefurahia sana sababu ya Mheshimiwa Lucas na Mheshimiwa Kazungu Kambi, kwa ajili ya kushikanisha jamii zote wanaoishi hapa Kilifi County.
Aside from Governor Kingi, others seeking the office include Gideon Mung'aro of Jubilee and Professor Gabriel Katana of Wiper. Francis Ontomwa, KTN News, Mombasa.
Kigumo MP Jamle Kamau has grudgingly announced his exit from the Murang'a gubernatorial race following his defeat in the Jubilee primaries by Governor Mwangi wa Iria. Kamau joins the list of big names facing political uncertainty. And so tonight on Spotlight 2017, Murimi Mwangi delves into the intrigues of the recent Jubilee primaries and the future of Mount Kenya politics.
Beneath the fanfare that colored the endorsement of President Uhuru Kenyatta's re-election bid was a headache persistently agonizing top Jubilee strategists. And it did not escape the president's mind when he spoke at Bomas.
Wale wote ambao walipoteza, because I want to take this opportunity. Na waomba kwa heshima mkuje tuungane tufanye kazi pamoja.
And on Sunday, Kigumo MP Jamle Kamau, who lost the Murang'a Jubilee gubernatorial race to Governor Mwangi wa Iria, finally announced his exit from the race, and he is not a happy man.
Irrespective of the fact that I rejected the results, which I still do as we speak right now, because I know that it was rigged in favor of the governor of Murang'a County, I will still not run.
Wairia was declared the winner with over 205,000 votes, beating Kamau by a margin of over 100,000, results that he has rejected.
We all know that there was a lot of rigging, massive rigging, a lot of things that happened that somebody could not even explain what was going on. including people voting 10, 15 times in one polling station.
But Kamau's defeat alongside such big names as 2013 presidential contender Peter Kenneth, Kiambu Governor William Kabogo and Senate Deputy Speaker Kembi Gitura has ignited fresh debate on Uhuru's succession, with some losers indirectly accusing Deputy President William Ruto for their loss.
Rumors are that I am a threat to someone. I don't know whether that is true. But as fate will have it, you bite it one step at a time.
There is quite a bit of disquiet and murmurs that the DP interfered, but nobody is putting any hard evidence out there. So up to now, that remains allegations.
Kenneth had shifted his political base from Murang'a to Nairobi in a move widely viewed as a strategy to succeed President Kenyatta as the Mount Kenya kingpin. But his defeat by Senator Mike Sonko alongside close Uhuru allies is said to have rattled top Mount Kenya power brokers. Already, Kabogo, Kembi and other top Central Kenya leaders are said to be fronting the formation of a formidable alliance of independent candidates, a move seen as a strategy to tame the perceived growing influence of Ruto in President Kenyatta's Mount Kenya backyard.
The only other person now who can maybe have some stake, but he doesn't hold an elected position, is Mwangi Kiunjuri. So I think in the Uhuru succession equation now, that is a guy that maybe one will need to watch very carefully.
2022, tuko na mheshimiwa Gideon Moi amekaa hapa. Na hiyo sisi hatujali kama wengine wanasimamisha rais wa Jamhuri wa Kenya 2022, lakini sisi tuko na Gideon Moi.
Nilikwambia hii siasa peleka namna hii polepole, usifanye sana namna ile itaharibika. Naona mimi nakaa nyuma ya Uhuru Kenyatta najipanga hapo polepole. I know what I'm doing, my friend. Unafikiri nikilete kucho kwa huyu jamaa
Besides the 2017 presidential election, the ruling coalition also appears to be grappling with the headache of imminent loss of its tyranny of numbers in parliament, to the increasing number of candidates seeking elective seats on smaller political parties and independent candidates.
Independence is provided for in the law, but I am sure in our strongholds, the party that will carry the day will be the Jubilee Party.
With the presidential election already proving to be a tough contest, Jubilee handlers may have to go back to the drawing board as the big names continue to exit the political space. Muremi Mwangi, KTN News in Nairobi.
The government is now set to move a supplementary budget to cushion Kenyans against the high prices of food commodities, especially maize flour. According to State House spokesman Manoa Esipisu, the government is keen to set aside funds to mitigate Kenyans against the high cost of those commodities. And as Raquel Muigai reports, the move comes a day after President Uhuru Kenyatta announced that the government was going to do something about the high food prices.
Being a middle-income country, Kenya's economy is all about consumption, and lately, households in Kenya have had to dig deeper into their pockets to buy basic food commodities whose prices have continued on an upward trend. Worst of all being maize flour, which is now going at about 150 shillings per 2-kilogram packet.
Gharama ya unga imeenda juu, na sisi tuwafanya juu chini kuona ni nini ambayo tutaweza kufanya tuhakikishe ya kwamba tumesaidia mwananchi kushukisha hiyo bei ya unga na sukari na mambo yale mengine.
And today, State House spokesman Manoa Esipisu confirmed that Parliament is expected to pass the supplementary budget this week with a view of containing the skyrocketing food prices. Hard hit are the low-income earners who cannot afford the current prices, forcing them to live from hand to mouth.
So in addition to the measures the President has already taken, through the National Treasury, the President will send to Parliament fresh measures in a supplementary budget to address the challenges of food security, as well as other cost of living issues.
According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, inflation rate in the month of April 2017 rose to 11.48% from 10.3% in March and is the highest to be recorded since May 2011.
Right now, my friend, the reason the prices have also gone up to 150 is because as a country we are experiencing severe drought. But as a government and as a responsible government, on recognizing that the prices also were reaching a place where it was difficult for the common mwananchi also to be able to sustain, we intervened.
It is the rising inflation coupled with the raging drought that food prices have doubled in the last few weeks, with the food inflation rate as of last month standing at 20.9%. In February this year, a 2 kg packet of maize flour was selling at 128 shillings. In March, the price rose again to 132 shillings before going up again to the current price of 150 shillings. In terms of milk, half a litre now costs between 65 and 75 shillings, from 60 shillings in April. In March, the same packet of milk was selling at 56 shillings only. The same trend can be seen in the prices of sugar, which now retails at between 170 to 190 shillings from 134 shillings last month. According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, the prices of sukuma wiki, onions, tomatoes, cabbages and potatoes have also increased, and Kenyans have had to spend twice the amount of money they used 2 months ago on these commodities. The uncontrollable spiral of food prices in Kenya is not new. In 2011, the price of unga had gone up by 160% compared to the previous year. And with times getting harder for Kenyans, the much-awaited supplementary budget by the National Treasury that will require the approval of the National Assembly will come as a relief for Kenyans. Raquel Mwigai, KTN News.
Taita Taveta Governor John Murutu has been handed a second fighting chance by the political party's dispute tribunal, which ordered a repeat of nomination polls in 3 disputed areas. Jubilee Party has also been barred from issuing nomination certificates to parliamentary aspirants in Embakasi North and Kiambaa. This as Homa Bay Governor Cyprian Awiti was given the green light to fly ODM's flag in the county's gubernatorial race.
Milimani Law Courts was abuzz with activities as political parties' disputes tribunal made rulings on the largely contentious party primaries.
Would be if parties are apprehensive that they are not going to be ready.
In the race for Homa Bay, the incumbent Governor Cyprian Awiti got a sigh of relief.
The court has spoken. I'm asking everybody that we fought together. Let us forget the past, let us work together and be able to mobilize Kura and the votes for our candidate for the presidency, Raila Amolo Odinga.
The appeal against his win had been filed by fellow contestant and businessman Sami Wakiaga, who came third in the Homa Bay ODM primaries. And in Taita Taveta County, the sitting governor John Murutu was handed another chance to fight it out with previously declared winner Thomas Mwadegu. ODM was ordered to recall nomination certificates issued to Mwadegu and compensate Murutu the full cost of the case. In the day's proceedings, the tribunal's hammer also struck in the direction of the Jubilee Party, starting with the Kiambaa parliamentary seat. The party now has been barred from issuing a nomination certificate to Paul Koinange, who won the primaries after the applicant Charles Munyui stated that his name was missing from the ballot papers with just a passport photo as his only identity. The script was the same in Embakasi North constituency, with Jubilee again instructed not to hand a certificate to one Harrison Wangoro.
The Nation newspapers, the Standard newspapers have been carrying the names of my client as the winner. Yesterday, only for him to go to Bomas of Kenya and find that there is a party list. And in that party list, the person who is purported to be the winner and carrying the ticket of Jubilee is the person who got 400 votes. That is called Harrison Wangoro.
Don't repeat nomination.
Still on the parliamentary party primaries, ODM Chair John Mbadi's fight for re-election has reached the High Court.
Contestant Karoli Omondi has appealed against Mbadi's win in the just concluded ODM party primaries that saw the party national chairman beat Karoli by 12,365 against 11,597 in the ODM primaries for Suba constituency. Mbadi is contesting an order by the party's tribunal for a repeat in 7 polling stations within 72 hours after complaints were raised by Omondi. Mbadi is gunning for his 3rd re-election bid as parties scramble to wind up nominations and disputes arising from the exercise. Mark Namaswa, KTN News.
All right, so it's that time of the week when we take a look at facts and figures and statements that have been made. And the Kenya editor for Africa Check, Alphonse Shundu, joins me as always. It's good to see you this week.
Thank you, Yvonne.
So let me just start by giving you a bit of a preamble about the facts we're checking tonight. This is a statement. We'll take a look at these figures. It's a statement that was made by President Uhuru Kenyatta on the 1st of January 2014. It was his New Year's statement. He talked about the cost of electricity. I want to just read that for you. He said the billions of shillings of investment in our energy sector will also start pouring in this year. That was 2014, raising the ante on our plan to add 5,000 megawatts of electricity on the national grid in the next 36 months, which should expire this year, yes?
Yes.
And to get this, lower electricity prices by at least 50% in that period. So we then sought to check out whether indeed electricity prices have come down by half from the year 2014, that's the 1st of January, up until this point in time. So here we go. These are some of the figures that Africa Check was able to get. I'll just do a quick rundown and then we'll talk about these numbers with Alphonse here. So in 2013, this is the cost of electricity for households that have an average amount of 200 kilowatts per hour. In 2013, it cost 3,042. In 2017, it cost 3,400. This is for households that use an average of 200 kilowatts per hour. But we also went further, Africa Check did, to take a look at this monthly power costs, because, you know, they say, you know, the various variables, yes, in the cost of electricity. So it's sometimes difficult to judge, but maybe a month-on-month cost will be able to tell us a different picture. So let's take a look at the next one to see these figures here, because we took this from 2012 all the way up until now. So this is now, again, domestic consumers. And I want to remind you that there's 3 bands of consumers, but we're choosing to focus on domestic consumers, all right? 2012, the cost per kilowatt hour, 18 shillings 11 cents. Went down in 2013, 17 shillings. Went up 22 shillings and 20. 2015, 20 shillings 23 cents. And in 2016, 19 shillings and 65 cents. If you want to take a look at from 2016 to 2012, yeah, there's definitely an increase.
Yes.
All right, so talk to us about these numbers, Shundu.
All right. The first thing we did when we got this claim, it was reported as fact in one of the daily papers. So we asked them where they got the data, and they told us they got the data from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics.
Right.
So we went to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and we got this data in the consumer price indices that are published every month.
Yeah.
So we did an average of the cost of power for from 2013 to 2016, and the graph shows in some years it peaked in 2014 because of the different components that are in an electricity bill, but then it started going down.
Yeah.
But it is not at the level that it was since
back in 2012.
Yes. Okay. For example, this is as the average for 2016, and this is possibly the figure at December 2016.
Right.
But right now, the latest figures show it's around 2068 cents.
All right.
So for that, it is still higher than it was. So we look at, we went further and looked at the reasons why.
Right.
Because the argument is that people are paying for power, more for power under this administration than what they did under the coalition government.
All right, which is different from the promise that was made.
Different from the promise that was made.
To at least half the cost of it.
Yes.
By 2017,
2017.
Right? Okay.
Yes, we will come to the 5,000 megawatts in a bit.
All right.
So the thing is, when we looked at the numbers, there is something called, we had a new tariff in 2014. So in this new tariff that has been implemented, the fixed charge grew by 25% from 120 shillings to 150 shillings. Then there is a component called the foreign exchange rate fluctuation adjustment. So every time the shilling
against the dollar?
Yes, against the dollar.
Right.
So every time that happens, if the shilling is stronger, the cost goes down. If the shilling is weaker, the cost goes high.
Right.
So that is one of the things that determines the price. So because of the increase in the component of the renewable energy, you saw there's geothermal.
Yes.
Around
Carrier 5 was launched just the other day.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that input into the grid reduced the component called the fuel cost charge.
Yes.
Yes. Now that one went down from 60 by around 60.1%.
Okay.
From 7 shillings and 22 in 2014, that was July 2014, which is the highest, to 2 shillings and 85 cents. That's the rate now.
So geothermal power, in terms of renewable energy, has helped to bring down the cost of electricity?
Bring down the cost of the price of the fuel charge.
Okay.
Because there are three other
variables. Yes.
Yes, there is VAT. In September 2013, the VAT applicable on electricity was 14%.
Yes.
And we passed the VAT Act. The VAT applicable was 16%.
16%. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Then we passed the Water Act, like Parliament passed the Water Act.
Right.
So they created a Water Resource Management Authority. Now that authority takes 0.05 cents of whatever electricity consumption you make to like revenues for that authority. Then we have the Rural Electrification Program, which takes 5% of whatever consumption you do. So all these components have worked to have made the electricity expensive.
Okay.
So if you were to draw a graph using just the actual amount paid by consumers who spend, who use at least 200 kilowatt hours, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics defines them as middle class.
Okay, middle class. So we can go back to the last one as you explained that, to the first one, the graphic that we had. Okay.
Yes. So on that one, you find that in 2013, the price is 3,042. It has just kept growing to 3410. Then in 2015, it was 3,416.
Right.
Then in 2016, it was 3,393. And
then 2017, the figure that we see here.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So in all of this, we must say that they haven't been able to cut down the cost of power by half.
Yes, the people won't feel it.
Okay.
Yes.
But there is light at the end of the tunnel because of everything we're doing with renewable energy.
Yes, an increase in renewable energy, there's a likelihood that this, but it's not so fast. Yes, so in the report that we did for africacheck.org, we've put data from a consultant's firm called Regulus.
Yes.
Yes, they have all this data from government since 2008 using the Gazette notices for Kenya Power and ERC. And when you look at that data, if you're going to, the graph shows it's coming down from where it was in 2014.
Okay.
So if you're to draw a line of best fit from 2013 to 2017, it's an increase.
Okay.
But if that line you were to draw it from 2014 to now, it's decreasing. So there's light at the end of the tunnel for this.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So that's our fact for tonight.
Yes.
But not able to do it in 36 months, but definitely some good news as time goes by.
Yes, they are not able to cut the power in 36 months because the 5,000 megawatts promise was abandoned.
Okay.
Yes, at some point. Yes.
All right. Okay. Great. Thanks for that. If you want to see more on this, if you want to read more about it, africacheck.org. That's correct. And you can get in touch at africacheck at Shundu and at Yvonne Okwara. #FactCheck if there's something you want us to take a look at. We've got to remove this VAT from books that was actually put there in 2013 through the VAT Act of that year. Now, Why is this an important number for you to think about? Because it has some serious effects. So I want us to take a look at what effect it has on education in this country. So this is another number that will relate to the 16% VAT, and I'll tell you why. So 200 shillings is allocated by the government per child per year for textbooks. On this, 16% VAT is applied. Also, that is not the only figure. There's this one here of 100 shillings for teachers' guides and reference materials. Again, this is a figure that is subject to 16% VAT. And I'm going to tell you the knock-on effect that this has on books in the country, on education, on learning. Remember, Uwezo has constantly talked about children that are unable to read. There's the issue of access to books. So let me paint this picture for you with some more numbers that will tell you just how big an effect that 16% VAT has, all right? So let's start off with this one. Now, we do know that we've got 10.5 million children in primary school and about 2.4 million in secondary schools as well. So if we're to say that 200 shillings is what is the government per capita allocation for textbooks, so that's 200 shillings per child times 10.5 million children in primary school alone, that total figure that the government is spending on textbooks alone comes to 2.1 billion. Big figure, yes? Now, think that that 2.1 billion shillings is subjected to a 16% VAT tax. If you calculate the VAT on this 2.1 billion shillings that is allocated for all the primary school children, it comes to 336 million. So that is the VAT over and above the 2.1 billion shillings. All right, this is a huge figure. So I want to just isolate this 16% VAT of this total figure for a moment. Now, what did we say? 200 shillings is what is allocated per student for textbooks. If you divide this amount, that 336 million, that's the 16% VAT, divide that by the 200 shillings per child. What does that give you? 1.6 million. That means that 336, that VAT that is charged on this figure is enough to buy books for another 1.68 million students in schools at the moment. And this 1.6 million aid, by the way, could be taken off the 2.4 million who are in high school. We haven't even computed that figure by itself. So even while the publishers are continuing to complain about this, they point out that there's a host of other issues or a host of other goods and services that are exempt from VAT. Right. So in the 2016 budget, park entry fees were exempt from VAT. Also granted VAT exemption in this year's budget, pesticides, medical equipment, apparatus, and fishing as well. But taxing of books still goes on. It remains silent on this issue, despite the number of pleas that were sent out by the then chair of the Kenya Publishers Association, David Waweru. He was the immediate former. He is also the CEO of Word Alive Publishers. And I just want to read you a quote from David Waweru. He says, "Publishers have argued that a zero VAT rate on books is the best way to support reading, education, and a thriving knowledge economy." He goes on to say, the poor will not only be glad to have cheaper ugali to feed their bodies, but also books to feed their minds. Now, they have been petitioning for that 16% VAT to be removed from books since it was introduced in the VAT Act of 2013. Silent on that in this year's budget, but they continue to be hopeful. So that is that number for the week. That is important because it has a bigger effect on the cost of books. And by the way, we've only looked at textbooks for schools, but some say this is one of the impediments towards reading for leisure, reading for knowledge, reading for pleasure, over and above the textbooks that are provided in schools. That is your number for the week. We're taking a break. The sports news, my take, up next. All right, welcome back. Let's talk sports news now. 15-time Kenya Premier League champions Gor Mahia thrashed arch-rivals AFC Leopards 3-0 to claim 3 crucial points, plus the Mashemeji Derby trophy, of course.
It was all systems go at the Nyayo National Stadium as the two most successful clubs in Kenya locked horns in the first Mashemeji derby of the season. AFC Leopards welcomed Gor Mahia fighting for pride and 3 crucial points. It was the visitors who started brightly as a defensive error from Leopards almost gifted them an early goal, but Kenneth Muguna was flagged offside. Kogalo, however, broke the deadlock in the 20th minute when Harun Shakava set up Medi Kagere, who squeezed the ball past Ingwe custodian Ian Otieno. His opposite number, Boniface Oluoch, was immediately called into action as Leopards searched for an equalizer. George Blackberry Odhiambo then increased Kogalo's buffer with a cool finish. In the second half, AFC Leopards piled pressure and came close through Gilbert Fiamenyo. However, Timothy Otieno rounded off the scoring with 7 minutes remaining to secure 3 crucial points for Gor Mahia.
It was a very good game, very good job for us. We saw our training this week, so how we train is very hard. It's very hard our training, so you can see the result today.
How many of these players have played in a derby before? How many of their players have played in a derby? That's what I'm saying. We couldn't handle the first 15 minutes. In the first 15 minutes, when we were running around like scared rabbits, they got on top of the game. Physically, mentally, tactically, everything.
It is still early to predict who is going to win the league title, but the victory means Gor Mahia are now in a better position as far as the title race is concerned. Abdullah Ahmed, KTN Sports at the Nyayo Stadium, Nairobi.
All right, Kenya's Eliud Kipchoge may have failed in his attempt to become the first man to run the marathon under 2 hours. His time of 2 hours 25 seconds is an indication that running under 2 hours is not exactly out of reach. According to many athletics experts, Kipchoge still has a chance to push the limit.
This is a project that nobody first of all could imagine that the sub 2:0 will fall down. But now we realize it's only 35 seconds away from any human being. And it's a mighty project, though with some other reservations, but I feel that this is a worthy project, more so by a shoe manufacturer like Nike, and the rest can take the challenge.
Asad Anwar was crowned the winner of the KCB Nakuru Autocross that came to a conclusion today. He clocked a time of 5 minutes 44.37 seconds. Asad finished 6 seconds ahead of Rehan Shah, while Frank Tundo emerged third ahead of Azhar Anwar. It was another big match across our borders. Arsenal kept their slim hopes of a top 4 finish alive with a comfortable 2-0 win over a much-changed Manchester United side at the Emirates Stadium in a first league win for Arsene Wenger over Jose Mourinho. Earlier on, Liverpool settled for a 1-1 draw with Southampton to move to third in the league.
Xhaka, that's got a touch, it's thrown in! He bought a ticket, he won the lottery! Granit Xhaka, with the kindest of breaks, gives Arsenal the lead. Well, it's under Herrera, if caught. And it is the kindest of breaks. We know he's got the ability from range. Xhaka shoots it. Martial's got a touch. Walked only for holding.
All right, so my take tonight is about a group of young parliamentarians who give me hope for the future of this country. These legislators, many of them who are doing their first term in Parliament, have clearly understood the role of MPs, that of oversight, legislation and representation. Now, there could probably be more tonight, but I want to mention just a few who have stood out for me. So let's start with nominated MP Johnson Sakaja. At age 29, he was nominated to Parliament to champion the rights and the interests of young people. And in his time, he has managed to push through the National Employment Authority Act that seeks to ensure that youth and marginalized groups get access to employment opportunities. He has been a consistent advocate of greater opportunities for young people. There may be an argument over whether young people are really better, but as a legislator, he has done his part. Now, in case you've forgotten, Senator Martha Wangari also made history during the 11th Parliament. She became the first female senator to successfully sponsor a bill into law. That is the County Government Amendment Act that seeks to have nominated MCAs sworn in at the same time as their elected counterparts. She, by the way, is also the second female legislator after Millie Odhiambo to have a bill called by her name. Ladies and gentlemen, she's not the only one. You also have Nyeri County MP Priscilla Nyokabi to thank for the Access to Information Act, considered to be one of the key pillars of a free society. This act has been described as a win for whistleblowers, media, and the general public. Again, how far we as a society are willing to implement this law is not necessarily in Priscilla Nyokabi's hands. So let's move across the political divide, shall we? And take a look at legislator Ken Okoth, representative of the people of Kibra. Grassroots women's rights organizations can relate with him for his efforts in the ever-elusive two-thirds gender rule. He and his colleague Agostino Neto get a mention here tonight because they have tried to seek bipartisan support for this issue that has plagued the 11th Parliament for its entire term. Ken Okoth also stands out for his work in Kibra constituency. He has made great efforts in trying to uplift the standards of education for his constituents, that is those in Kibra, which has one of the biggest slums on the continent. In fact, he has also gone against the grain. Remember, in 2014, he defended the NYS projects in his area, saying constituents pay taxes and therefore have a right to government services like those that were being conducted by NYS, that's the cleanup exercises, as well as employment for young people. Now, he did this at a time when his own party and the government were at loggerheads over the then devolution Cabinet Secretary Anne Waiguru's focus on Kibra with the NYS programs. He could easily have allowed himself to be caught up in the party politics between Raila and Waiguru. He did not. So let's move away from the political parties for a moment and let's mention one Gatobu Kinoti, the MP for Buri. He dared to go it alone at the age of 26 and he won. He is today seeking once again to be the governor of Meru County, and again he's doing it as an independent candidate. He's not swayed by any of the party waves that are sweeping the country at the moment. Folks, these young Kenyans give me hope. Many of them believe in their parties, but are not necessarily sycophants. They simply attempt against many odds and conventional wisdom to make a difference. That is what the nation is crying for. Single-minded, sober, detribalized Kenyans who will see Kenya's challenges for what they are and not through the jaundiced eyes of politics as usual. And that tonight is my take. Thank you for watching the show, and for your feedback, remember you can track it. The hashtag is Checkpoint. I want to remind you as we close of the breaking news that is coming in. France was taking part in its runoff election. Two candidates, Emmanuel Macron and conservative Marine Le Pen. Emmanuel Macron reigning supreme tonight, the new president of France, after winning 65% of the vote. Worldview will definitely have some more details for you on this, all together with reactions and analysis from across the world. That's tomorrow at 9 a.m. here on KTN News. Thanks for watching the show. Our sign language interpreter was William Silla, and I am Yvonne Okwara Matole. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.